think that's a ticket meeting. Oh, I was right. Maybe we can make a shoot on it.
Good evening. We are going to call the regular December meeting of the Verona Zoning Board of Adjustment to order at, looks like 7:34 p.m. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Secretary, would you please read the notice of this meeting and call the roll?
The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied with respect to this meeting of the Township of Verona Board of Adjustment, which is being held in person in the ballroom of the Verona Community Center located at 880 Bloomfield Avenue, Verona. The time and date of this meeting were included in the annual meeting notice posted in the Community Center and sent to the official newspapers of the Township, the Verona Cedar Grove Times, and the Star Ledger, at least 48 hours preceding the start time of this meeting. The agenda and instructions of how to comment will be published at the appropriate time. All meetings are recorded. Those wishing to speak during any public comment period should only provide their name and municipality. Street addresses are not required. Please be advised that should a member of the public choose to state their street address, it will not be redacted from this recording. Mr. Tully?
Present.
Dr. Cortez?
Here.
Mr. Ryan?
Here.
Ms. Murphy-Brad's absent. Ms. DiBertolo absent. Mr. Matheson?
Here.
Vice Chair Weston?
Here.
Chair McKinley?
Here.
Board Attorney, Mr. Massara?
Here.
Our town engineer?
Here.
Our zoning official, and I are present.
Perfect. Thank you. If everybody would just remember, turn on your microphones when you're talking, turn off your microphones when you're finished talking. Let's start with some general information. This board deals with variances from the Verona zoning ordinance. That ordinance establishes specific requirements for the land area in the township and regulates not only the uses permitted, but the size of the lots, setbacks required, parking, signs, conditional uses, and numerous other such regulations. An applicant is never entitled to a variance. Applicants must meet specific criteria contained in the state municipal land use law by satisfying certain legal standards of proof. The burden is on the applicants to show that they should be granted the specific relief requested. Depending on the type of variance requested, applicants will need to prove special reasons, undue hardship, a balance of benefits, and other criteria. These are legal proceedings. Public meeting notices have been published, neighbors have been notified, applicants and their representatives will provide sworn testimony and be subject to cross-examination. Any action this board takes at this meeting will be memorialized in a resolution document prepared by our legal counsel that will be reviewed and adopted typically at our next regular meeting. At that time, any variances granted will become effective. That said, we are a board that conducts its business in a fairly informal manner. Applicants are sworn in, tell us what they want to do with their property, and what they are asking the board to do. Board members will question witnesses, and then members of the public may question those witnesses. At the conclusion of the testimony, members of the public may make a statement regarding the application. After closing the public portion of the application, the board will deliberate and render a decision. Okay. Item E on our agenda this evening is minutes of the November 14th meeting. Has everyone had an opportunity? They were distributed earlier. Everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes of the November 14th meeting, which was our first meeting in November.
I'll make a motion to approve the meetings for the November 14th meeting.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Paul. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I was not at that meeting, so.
Okay. One abstention. Noted. Okay. The minutes are approved. Which moves us to resolutions. First resolution, 2024-19, the appointment of Caitlin Kester as the Board of Adjustment Secretary. Everyone should have had a chance to read the resolution. Appointing Caitlin as the secretary commencing this evening and hoping she stays until June 30th. We've lost a couple of secretaries.
I will move the resolution, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Ready for that?
We have a, thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in, do we need a roll call vote on this one? How about we'll just do all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Our former secretary insists on voting. That motion passed unanimously, which is better than I can say for our former secretary. That wasn't unanimous. Okay. So that gets through administratively. Now, from the last, the application 2020, resolution 24-21, based on application 24-19, 45 Woodland Avenue, granting the in-ground pool, covered front porch, pergola, 43 square foot wall with all conditions. There were several conditions agreed upon by the applicant.
Oh, we're doing 20.
You skipped over 20, right?
Did I skip over 20?
Yes, you
I
did.
apologize because I pulled 20 off in front because I was going to do it next. Okay, 20, I'm sorry. That would be the 553-55 Bloomfield Avenue approval of the ATM machine that we turned 90 degrees.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, I spoke to Mr. Sullivan, the applicant's attorney today. He had reviewed the resolution, and they just had a question whether the board did in fact require as a condition of approval, which is after paragraph 5 on the third page, modify the windows so that they appear more similar to downtown active storefront windows. It's my recollection that that was a condition. Mr. Sullivan didn't recollect it that way. My notes say that.
I think that there was a discussion on it, but that one of the things was like posters or boxes, and we had determined that only 25% of the window could be covered via ordinance, and I think we dropped it at that point. I don't think that there was, because when they changed the layout and you could see people, I
Right.
think that we just left them as is. I don't think we approved putting the boxes, poster boxes or things like that on it.
I believe that was,
Okay. Then, Mr. Chairman, the last sentence of the last whereas should be stricken,
okay.
struck, stricken.
Okay. Good. So,
But it still needs to meet what our new ordinance is, that no more than 25%. So it would be, technically, wouldn't it be like our downtown?
Yes. Yes.
but they'll have to comply without us.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah. All right, that makes sense.
All right. So I would entertain a motion to accept or to approve this resolution as amended.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-20 as amended.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Paul. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Yes, since I wasn't at that meeting, I'll abstain.
Okay, so noted. Do that one. Now, we'll do Resolution 24-21 for the application for 45 Woodland Avenue with all of those improvements. And is there some significance to the highlighting in the names on the voting list? Some are shaded?
Shaded.
Okay. If I recall correctly,
Yeah, they moved a little bit of property owner.
okay, so everybody who voted in favor of that can vote to adopt the resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-21.
Second it.
Thank you, Kevin. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Good, thank you. Last of the resolutions, 24-22, which goes to 29 Otsego. That would be the fence on the corner lot. With the addition of shrubbery.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 24-22.
Second it.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Or any opposed? And I cannot vote because I recused myself. Good, that gets us through resolutions. Brings us to new business, and just for the record at this time, I understand that what is the second application we're looking to review, 30 Elk Road, is going to postpone to January 9th meeting. Technical difficulties to reserve for a D variance. Counselor, officially, what do we need to do?
Mr. Chairman, because there's going to be a new notice, we just, your announcement is just for convenience if anybody is here with regard to that application, but there's no further requirement for this board.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Evan. Okay, so moves us back to application number 1, 2024-21, 57 Hillside Avenue. If you'd be so kind as to come up, please remain standing. Our attorney will swear you in, and then you can sit down and get comfortable.
You can both raise your right hand, please. You swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth? Can you both please state your full name and address for the record?
Thomas Monroe, 57 Hillside Avenue, Verona, New Jersey.
Susan Monroe, 57 Hillside Avenue, Verona, New Jersey.
Thank you.
Okay, Counselor, is proof of service in order?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the proof of service is in order. The application was deemed complete, and the application is right for hearing.
Perfect. All right. Sir, if you'd be so kind, or if you'd be so kind as to tell us what you'd like to do.
Certainly. Thank you for your time, members of the board. Also have, before we begin today, I submitted some photographs to Ms. Kester and Ms. Misch that I would like to distribute to the board and mark as an exhibit before we begin. I think these photographs, as part of the existing, don't have them, will be instrumental in walking us through what we intend to do, and gives a better picture of the present sightlines on the property and our backyard. So,
Mr. Monroe, there's, how many pictures?
there's 2 pictures. We submitted them, I submitted them tonight. These are new, these are not part of the original package.
Understood. So you're going to mark those as A1 and A2?
Yes, please.
Okay, and can you represent to the board that you took these pictures? Or do you know who took the pictures?
My wife Susan took the
Okay.
pictures.
Ms. Monroe, do these pictures fairly depict what the home looks like today?
Yes. That's what we wanted to show. What I've done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Monroe, we'll do the, well, I guess you can decide which would be A1 and which would be A2.
A1, please. The other A2. Thank you. So before we begin, I'd like just to indulge me for a moment, 2 or 3 minutes, just some background information about my wife and I, our family, and our experience in the fact that we live here in Verona. I think it's relevant to what we're trying to do and what we're trying to replace, and actually what was lost. My wife has been a lifelong resident of Verona. I won't tell you how many years that is. I've been in Verona for over 20 years. We've been active in the community. Her father was in Verona for over 60 years. Some of you may have known him. He was a landscaper. He actually built the deck that was destroyed by the fallen tree that we're looking to replace and improve upon. That having been said, I've coached teams, Verona Eagles, BBSL. My wife has been on the SCA, other volunteer boards. She graduated from Verona High School. Both of our children both graduated from Verona High School. And when we first moved in, when I first moved into Verona, Hillside Avenue was a tree-lined street. And we all know about the problems with the large trees falling down. Unfortunately, south of Forest Avenue, Hillside, south of Forest Avenue, you may recall the October snowstorm we had several years ago. Many trees fell down. Then Hurricane Sandy, many trees came down. Particularly on our yard, we had 3 beautiful red oak trees in the front yard. Sandy snapped the top off of one of them into the neighbor's house and had it come down. And for safety reasons, we just didn't know how stable the other 2 trees were. We took those trees down. So our front yard went from having 3 80-foot red oak trees in to none. On one year, like January 3rd, right after Sandy. So in our backyard, which is what you'll see with A1 and A2, if you look at A1, there are some concrete remnants there, right at the right bottom corner of the picture. In that spot stood a great, magnificent white oak tree that was approximately 165 years old. And my wife and I always said, if we ever had to take that tree down, or if the tree ever fell down, we would move. Because that tree was just absolutely beautiful. It provided shade for our families, our neighbors' families, and provided a screen as going up towards Forest Avenue. So one September night in 2023, that fall was extremely wet, and we had a lot of rain. That tree just fell in the middle of the night for no reason. Unbeknownst to us, that tree was healthy. We had it inspected and trimmed, every 3 or 4 years. It just fell. Anecdotally, some tree service guys thought maybe the water table rose and the tree was so big and heavy, it just popped out of the ground. Well, luckily, nobody was hurt, but when that tree fell, it tore up our entire deck that was adjacent to it and somewhat around the tree, not completely around the tree. So our deck was completely devastated. And that's what you see in A1 and A2, going back to wherever, up to the grass line in A2 is where that deck was. And the deck was approximately a foot or 2 up against the fence. that wooden fence that you see. So what we would like to do is rebuild the deck, configure it a little bit differently in order to compensate for what we're doing, removing the deck off of the property line to about 3 to maybe 4 feet. And in that space, we intend to put landscaping, which is designated on the plan, the site plan we submitted, prepared by Kurt Schmidt. So we obviously can't replace the tree, but we're going to try by placing an autumn blaze maple in approximately in the area where the white oak tree was, and approximately another autumn blaze white maple or autumn blaze maple back in the corner of that on A2 where the grass begins. So when the tree fell, it opened up the entire area. And just didn't open it up where in most places, and this is part of the topography of Verona, this is part of, if you want to call it a hardship or the sightline we're looking to improve upon. On Hillside Avenue here, the homes have, as you go up, you go west, the homes have a stacking effect because you're going up the hill. So now the house next to us is a little higher. The house at 61 Hillside is a little higher, 63 and going up. They're all a little bit higher for us. And as well as on Forest Avenue. When that tree was there, we couldn't see Forest Avenue. If you were in our backyard, you couldn't see it. Now, it's wide open. And part of the reason as well that it's wide open is over the last 10 to 12 years, there's been a lot of improvement to homes in our area. An improvement you can see in A1, the white home there, that was improved, probably quadrupling the size of the home. And also in A2, the house in the middle there, not the, I think it's a peach color, the one next to that. That was probably double in size as well. And unfortunately, in the lot right next to us, you get a good shot of it in A2. The back right corner of that property used to be a grove of ash trees. And you may know that ash trees in New Jersey have all fallen because of a disease or some type of infestation. So right now, we can see, as you can see in the pictures, all of our neighbors' homes, and we couldn't see that when that tree was there. So we're going to try, if we're so fortunate to have our application granted, to improve the deck, move it off the property line, in that space plant either, we haven't decided yet, either arborvitaes, skip laurels, or green giants, plus the trees I mentioned. So that is the reason why we're here. The application, the variance is requested relate to the maximum improved lot coverage. We're looking for a de minimis increase of 1.66%, approximately 118 square feet. In terms of the variance requested for the maximum aggregate area covered by accessory structures in the rear yard, we're looking for, in my opinion, a de minimis increase of 3.01%, approximately 106 square feet. And the additional space is being taken up by moving the deck a little bit behind. You can't see, you may be able to see it in some of the other photos you have. Behind our house, and also the installation of the spa and hot tub. So it is the topography really of our lot, and you can see where the sight line was just dramatically altered when that tree fell. We'll never replace the tree, but we're going to try our best to improve our lot with the deck, improve the landscaping in our yard at least. That's the only yard we can control. We're going to put in some significant landscaping there, and hopefully it'll alleviate us from seeing our neighbors, not that we don't like them, and from them seeing us. Sometimes you like some privacy, but this is just new to us. And again, the topography, it's going up the hill. So those houses have a towering effect or an imposing effect upon us. In terms of the plan, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to field them. We have a detailed site plan submitted by the architect, Kurt Schmidt. If there's any questions on that, I'd be happy to answer them. I'd also be happy to go through the letters that we received from the construction official, from the town engineer and the environmental commission. There are some of the things in there I probably should address. The letter from the construction official, code enforcement officer, Tom Jacobson, his only comment was that he would need 2 copies of the construction permit. We intend to comply with that. Kurt Schmidt is, once we get approval, he's prepared to prepare the plans to submit to the town in order for us to get the permit. In terms of the Boswell Engineering, they deemed the application complete for public hearing. They indicated that we will summarize all site modifications. We've done that in terms of the site plan approval that's being submitted. We are aware of our responsibility to repair any damage we may cause doing this to the Hillside Avenue Township right of way. We have mapped out the improvements again in the site plan. In terms of stormwater management, the proposal does not increase the impervious coverage, so the project doesn't qualify as a minor development. Stormwater management is not required in accordance with the township code. And I could provide any or answer questions as to the stormwater issues we've had. There hasn't been any stormwater issues in our family's knowledge for the last 50 years with this deck there.
I grew up in the house, so if you have any questions on it from the beginning, I grew up in the house and I purchased it from my father. So if you have any questions on the history of it, I could provide that.
The pre-existing structure caused no runoff, and I think generally adding more landscaping along that property line will absorb more of the moisture and direct any runoff more towards the back of the yard and the back of the property. But we've been through some terrific storms and we've never had an issue with runoff at our property. The grading of the lot, we're only going to grade it to the extent we need to level it for purposes of putting in the footers for the deck. That's all we intend to do. We don't intend to remove any soil. We don't intend to remove any trees except for, if you see there's a very small tree. You can see it in A1 and A2, right where the grass meets where the deck was. That is a very small type of flowering tree that we planted that unfortunately is half dead. It's a red leaf tree. My understanding is those red leaf trees in New Jersey have met with some type of disease. So that tree is going to come down and we're going to replace it with an autumn blaze mason. And we have a landscaper, Grove Landscaping. We have him ready to go to put this all in. So we understand we'd have to submit an as-built survey, I believe that's a requirement, so no.
Not for the deck. And I'm sorry, could you please turn the microphone on?
I got to start all over now.
No.
Oh,
Thank you.
it's late for that.
I pointed to it.
All right, well, hopefully I spoke loud enough that it was picked up. Okay. Well, on to the Verona Environmental Commission. They calculated the proposed improvement lot coverage 56.9%, which coincidentally is less than what was calculated at 57.37%. So if we use the Environmental Commission's math, the coverage drops from 106 square feet to 73.4 square feet. Again, they made certain recommendations related to mitigation of stormwater runoff. We've gone through that. There hasn't been any history of problems with stormwater runoff. Additionally, this is a wooden deck, so I understand it's treated as impervious, but in reality, the water should seep through the deck into the ground. There will be slats between, open spaces between the wood. And again, we intend to plant in that space that we're seeking to gain here and improve the property, either arborvitaes, green giants, or skip laurels in that spot. So if you have any questions, we'd be happy to field them. Hopefully we've met our burden, and we ask that you grant the variances.
Thank you, Mr. Monroe. That was actually a fantastic summary, which a homeowner usually doesn't come in with. So I think I appreciate the fact that you did summarize everything. You addressed all the comments from our professionals. And open it to board questions of the applicant.
I know you said it, but can you remind us again what year the tree came down that damaged the deck?
The tree fell down in September of 2023. So we've been dealing with this for over a year now.
And have you spoken with your neighbor directly to the west, the previous 59 Hillside?
About this application?
Yes.
I have.
And what were their kind of thoughts and sentiments in your discussion?
He's not a man of many words, but I think he'd be satisfied by this. He's certainly put on notice, and he's not here, so.
And can you just testify that you do not plan on paving anything underneath the deck? No concrete, no pavement, asphalt? It's going to be either gravel or soil?
It will be soil. Actually, if you see on A1, there were the remnants of a concrete deck were there. We're actually going to remove that because the deck has to be removed there in order to complete the project. So there was some, I guess, 50, 60-year-old concrete slab there that was a deck at one point in time. That was covered by the wooden deck, but we're going to remove that. That's going to be done.
I can comment on that. So before the wooden deck was built, and my father built, there was cement there. So that was all broken up, but there was a portion of it that wasn't, and he built right over that, so that part will be taken out.
Mr. Chair, just a quick question. The plantings that you mentioned that you were going to do on the Environmental Commission report, they did note that there's a recommended plant selection list. Did you compare the ones you want to put to anything on that list?
I did not, but we already have, we had some skip laurels on our property that died, but we were happy with those. We have green giants on our property, and we have arborvitaes on our property, so they would match those. And the autumn blaze maple trees were recommended by our landscaper.
With all due respect to the landscapers, they don't always, not always up to date on the preferred bushes or tree selections. And in all fairness to them, it's changed radically just over the last couple of years. I mean, you mentioned the ash borer. There's been a lot of invasive, species that have come in and, decimated plants and different things like that. So I would just maybe just go back and say, take a look at the list.
Certainly.
Just to see if,
My understanding, too, is that the skip laurels and the green giants are deer resistant, and we've had success with those in our yard. The arborvitaes, not so much. So maybe that the arborvitaes, less likely that we would put arborvitaes there. It's more likely we would put skip laurels there.
Thank you.
There's also some mention about,
Where are your drain pipes are they going into the ground, or are they, I looked at the engineer's report, maybe you can comment on that, as opposed to just, emptying out onto the surface of the lot? Could you describe what the existing?
Sure.
Yeah.
The front slope of the house, the drain, it's half the roof slopes, and there's a drain pipe that goes into the driveway that runs down the front of the driveway. The other side is a slope. There is just no gutter on it. That rainwater falls in the alleyway between the homes.
Okay.
Towards the rear of the house, there's an addition off the rear of the house. The original portion of the house, that slopes into a gutter, and then they're both captured, and they go back onto the roof, the addition off the back of the house, into a gutter, and then it goes down the driveway. It does not dispense into the yard. It goes into the driveway, which then flows down the property and flows between our garage, and our neighbor has an in-ground swimming pool. So between our garage and his pool, there are railroad ties, probably 4 feet tall. And in that area, that's an open, unfinished area. That's where the water flows.
Okay. What caused me to ask that question, I'm looking at point number 4 on the Environmental Commission's memo. And actually, what they're saying here is that current thought is they'd rather have the drains, if there's parts, if your property is big enough where the drain actually empties onto the grassy areas or the pervious surface of your property, as opposed to just flowing down a driveway and going into the street.
Right.
Because it's just a more effective way of, maybe the engineer can comment on that too, if that seems to be a more suggested way of doing things than just having it go on to a pervious surface and into the gutter. Is that, yeah.
That's what's called the, your purpose areas are connected and the other ones are called disconnected. So the connected are described as the one that you have right now, that you have the gutters and then that drains to a hard surface and then goes to the nearest drainage of the town. While the impervious areas that are disconnected are the ones that are drained into a pervious area like the grass. And that's the preferable condition because you have some buffer there. So my recommendation is, because I had it in my house too, I point that to my backyard. And probably when you're a landscaper, talk to him and probably you can design a rain garden right there in your area and try to direct the gutters towards there.
Well, I can tell you that over the last 25 years, we've never had an issue with the rainwater, and the way it's set up, there's an intent to why it's set up that way, because our driveway goes to the back of the property, and I think probably 98% of the time when we come in and out of our house, we go through the back door. So we have to come around, which is on the west side of the home. So we come around. So the drain, we're already in the driveway. So if we don't have a place to put that drain that wouldn't be interrupted by our walkway and the deck. So that's why it's designed that way. All that water flows and it goes into the driveway, which when you're already in the driveway, you just get out of your car and you walk along the walk.
You know, I perfectly understand what you're saying. I don't think we're suggesting that you totally redo all of your drains, obviously, but if there's anyone that's going to be moved or mitigated by the installation of the deck, I think the preferable way of doing it, as the engineer just said, is to have it drain not down a driveway. From the town's perspective, and this is maybe very esoteric, the more water they can keep out of the sewerage system, it's less of a strain on the infrastructure of the town in general. Where if you keep it on your property on the pervious surfaces, I always get the two of them mixed up, so forgive me on that. But if you drain it onto grass, it just seeps into the ground, and it's just a more natural way that the rain dissipates, as opposed to having it go down the driveway. I'm sure 90% of the homes built in Verona, as old as yours or as old as mine, the thought process was exactly the opposite. Get the water off my property, put it into the street, and have it go into the storm sewer system. But that does take a toll then on the overall capacity, especially with the recent, 10-year floods that we're now having every 2 or 3 years, not on your property, but just in the town in general. So that's why they're recommending that if there's any circumstance that would allow you to not have it go into the driveway, but just on a grassy area that you don't use all that much. Right. They would suggest that you do that.
Just so we're clear, our driveway, when that drain comes into the back, it goes to the back of the yard.
Okay.
That back drain doesn't go down the driveway.
Okay, that's in the yard. Good. Okay.
It's in the back of the home. It goes, our driveway has a little bit of a hump. So this is on the other side of the hump. So that
Okay.
water all goes to the back of the yard next to the garage. It doesn't make its way out to the street.
Okay. Thank you.
The drain is actually in one of the pictures we submitted in our application.
The side of the house, almost the side of the house, car.
These are existing drains that aren't impacted by your construction.
No.
We have,
Right, okay.
we weren't going to move our.
So you're not going to, no, so the construction, you're not going to be moving any drains?
And your construction is going to take place as I look at it on the right side, anything that would be gathered, since your property appears to slope from front to back, anything that may come off of that deck or that area is going to run over what appears to be a lawn to your back property line.
Correct.
Okay, so I think that's what the Environmental Commission is looking for.
And then that would be the same for the new structure you're building, that new gazebo-like shed?
Well, it was an existing structure. What we're doing, we're just putting a pitch to the roof. It was a flat roof. So now it's just going to have a little slight pitch to it, and that water is just going to run off the sides. There's going to be no drainage, no gutters on that structure. But that structure was pre-existing, and that was also part of what came down.
Right, but that got knocked down with the...
It was part of the deck, and when the tree tore it up, that collapsed onto the deck.
Okay, so that's now at 1.4 from the property line. So that 1.4, are your planters still at that, so it's over the planters? Now it'll drain over the planters?
It'll drain on into the planters.
Into the planters.
Yes.
And those planters are right on the property line?
No, the planters would be, I think they're a foot off of it. And those would be railroad ties planters, and I think they're approximately 3 to 4 feet in depth. And those would be ground level. Previously, we had planters there, but I built them on top of the deck. And we had stone and the water would run through, but they're going to be into the ground now because we can, that's why we're moving the deck over. So we've lost some arborvitaes and skipper-laurels in the wintertime because I think the root ball would freeze because it was up on the deck and not actually into the ground.
These railroad tied planters are actually creating more of a setback for your decks. They're actually a little bit further away deck-wise, but the planters are now creating more of a setback, greater area to capture water on the
Yes,
sides.
the deck as reconfigured will be more in compliance with the setback as opposed to where it was originally.
These railroad. So by the time you get towards the spa in the back, they're going to be, it looks like about 3 or 4 feet high.
Correct. That's going with the natural pitch of the deck. When the deck that was pre-existing, when you first come down the steps, that's probably ground level. Then the yard is pitched. And so to be level with that, that deck was probably 3 feet off the ground when it ended, and steps would go down. So this is going to be approximately that same height off the ground. But then it will be at ground level as you approach the driveway. So the highest point off the ground will be that
about 4 feet
in the corner. I don't even think it'll be 4 feet because I couldn't crawl under there.
Okay.
And we would joke with the kids, if you ever drop your cell phone through a slot, we're going to find out if you can fit under there.
Okay.
So luckily, no one ever did. So
You might find a groundhog under there.
there was a
We
groundhog.
had one living there, yes. It's lost without the deck there.
Are there any more questions from the board for this applicant?
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand the dimensions of the planter to the deck. Because the spa right now is at 3'4". The deck is 3'4". And it says the planters are like 3 feet wide. So it's looking like it's 4 inches off the property line, the planters. Am I correct? I could be wrong. I'm just trying to follow the dimensions. Then that'll put it right up next to the fence, tight if there's any type of maintenance or anything like that. I just want to make sure, one, that it can be built or that we're going to be having something that close to the property line.
If it runs with the existing planter to remain, I don't know if you can see that on the plan, on the
Yeah.
front sheet.
Okay.
On one of the
Yeah,
pictures.
down at the bottom, yes.
You see where it says existing planter to remain?
Yes.
That's more along the side of the house. That is not going to be replaced. It's the next planter where,
Down.
okay, so there's a fence between that planter now and that currently exists, and the landscaper and myself, we are capable of going between there to clean and remove leaves and anything else that falls in there. You can fit in that space. I have been in that space, so we clean that out a couple times a year with leaves and other things. So that is what should continue with this plan. I'm not sure what the dimensions are, but I was capable of doing that.
Okay.
The one picture shows the existing arborvitae's.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now.
Right, so we were just gonna go right in sync with that, and the thought of, moving our deck away from the property line more so, and putting these in so it's not, what is it, impervious, like not impervious, yeah.
Yeah, there is a picture that captures it. I don't know if it's not the focus of the picture, but there is one. I could walk it to you if you'd like.
Okay.
Would you like me to walk it to you? So you,
No, I see it.
You see it? Okay.
No, thank you.
And just with the gazebo, you can walk all four sides. There's no walls on it. It's just going to be completely open.
Yes, but we had an existing bar that we're going to replace, so along that fence line, but now it's going to be up against the railroad ties.
Okay. I was more concerned if you had anything by the house, because then it becomes that structure too close to the house, and then you can't get around it. So
Now it's all open on all the other side, yeah.
It's the bar was, the height of the bar, 4.5 feet, whatever, the measure 4.5 feet.
Yeah.
It's open, the rest was open.
Okay.
It's just like that.
And would it be your contention that part of the reason you're here to get a variance for this addition is because you, like a lot of properties in Verona, have a driveway that extends the full length of your property with a garage in the back, which automatically runs up the amount of impervious coverage in your rear yard?
Yes, that would be accurate.
Anyone else? Is there anyone from the public who would like to ask a question of the applicant in this case? Okay. Is there anyone from the public who would like to make a statement about this application? Okay, then I will close the public portion of the application and open it to board deliberation. Anyone?
Yeah, so I mean, I have no issues with this application. The increase in impervious coverage is de minimis, and it's also, it is a deck that will have soil underneath, so in essence, it will still capture all of the rainwater, so I don't have issues on that. It is also moving the deck a little further away from the property line as well to be, I would say, slightly more in compliance, but better than what it is existing when the deck was there. And in terms of the variance, because of the 15% of accessory structures in the rear yard, I would venture to say about 85% of the houses in Verona probably already have pre-existing conditions in that regard. So I don't have much of an issue, and I would be in favor of approving this application.
I would endorse Mr. Weston's comments for the sake of brevity.
It shakes.
Same.
Paul?
No, I am in favor of the one aspects with railroad ties and soil and water is that they rot. So make sure that when you go forward with this, you either one, I'm not the expert on like what you have to do with it, but make sure it's either treated right or lined or whatever you have to do. So that this way, you're not coming back years and repairing everything that you've just put in. So it's just more of a word of advice to make sure that you take that care when doing it.
Thank you.
Kathleen, is there on the materials covered in the construction code that they need to do for the deck?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So these are obviously permitted uses if we grant the variances for the materials that they want to use.
Yes, and Tom Jacobson reviewed everything as well and had no comment regarding materials, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I saw a lot of nodding and head shaking at Scott's comments. Is anyone prepared to make
I'll make a motion to approve application 2024-21.
do I have a second for that?
Second.
Thank you, Kevin.
Second.
That one we will need a roll call vote on.
Mr. Kelly?
Approved.
Dr. Cortez?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes,
Mr. Matheson?
Yes.
Vice Chair Weston?
Yes.
Chairman Kennedy?
Yes, I would say that was unanimous. The motion is approved. The resolution will be prepared and available after our next meeting, which should be January 9th.
Thank you all very much. Really appreciate it.
Good luck. Thanks for your time. Enjoy it. Happy holidays.
Just send us notice when the hot tub's ready. Did I just say that on the record? Okay. I thought I was going to wear the Santa suit, so I kept it cold. Okay. Next application, application number 2 is moved to January 9th. So we are looking at item 3 on our agenda, application 2024-18, 63 Hillside Avenue. If you'd be so kind as to step up to the seat and stay standing, our counsel will swear you in.
Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth? Start with the applicants and state your name and address for the record, please.
Elise Toglia, 63 Hillside Avenue, Verona, New Jersey.
Eric Toglia, 63 Hillside Ave, Verona.
Sir.
Evan Scott, architect, Caldwell, New Jersey.
Thank you.
Do we need to vet, has
We will.
proof of service?
Proof of service is accurate. The application was deemed complete, and the board has jurisdiction to hear this matter.
Great. So, shall we vet Mr. Scott? If you'd be so kind as to give us your background?
Yes, my name's Evan Scott from East Scott Architects. I work in Caldwell. I'm a licensed architect for 15 years, licensed in 6 states, and been working in Verona for a number of years now. I have a master's in architecture. That's it.
Is your license current in New Jersey?
Yes, it is.
Mr. Scott, have you testified in front of boards before?
Yes, I have.
Full disclosure, I have used Mr. Scott as an architect probably 6 years ago.
I think,
Counsel?
Mr. Chairman, it's your discretion, but I think you should err in the side of caution.
I agree. In light of that, I will be turning the chair over to Vice Chair Weston.
All right, wonderful. Mr. Scott, will you be taking the lead on the presentation?
I'd like the homeowners to kind of give a little background on what they're looking to do, and then I'll do the rest.
Sounds good. So please tell us why you're here and what you're seeking the variance for.
So we moved to Verona in 2018 as a young couple. Since then, we now have 2 kids. Our second was born in May. It's a 2-bedroom house, beautiful lot, right on the corner, neighbors with the Monroes. Hopefully we'll live here as long as they've been here. That's our plan anyway. So now that our family is growing, we're kind of bursting at the seams a little bit in our quaint little 2-bedroom home. So we have hired Evan here to drop some plans for us to kind of expand the house to make it more functional for us as a growing family. We love our neighborhood. The houses on either side of us have little girls that are within a year age of our daughter. The second family behind us, the big white house, they're having a little boy. We just had a little boy. So, we really love, our crossing guard, Jim. Our daughter doesn't go to Forest Ave yet, but she goes, Jim's going to help me cross the street when I go to that school. So, we really fell in love with the neighborhood. Initially, we thought it would be a great starter home, but after living there, for, even after the first year, we just really fell in love with the area and we really don't want to move. Even up the street, we're like, no, we want to stay where we are. So yeah, that's a little history. Need more?
Perfect. Yeah, so the variances we're looking to do, we were able to meet all the other requirements except for the setbacks. The existing house is a Cape Cod style. It's a corner house, so it's pushed very much up to the street on Forest Ave. And it's also encroaching past the allowable 30 setback on Hillside Ave.
Excuse me, Evan. Microphone.
Sorry. So the proposed house is looking to add a garage onto the hillside frontage and adding a wraparound full covered porch on the hillside and Forest Ave side. There will also be 2 air conditioning units on the side of the house, which will also require a variance. So all the variances you hear today regarding this house will be for the frontages, encroachments to the property. Again, we're not going over the allowable impervious, we're not going to allow over the height, and we're meeting all of that. And we've got an example of what the existing conditions are around the house, roughly to scale. But the existing house is a small Cape Cod style, and we are looking to add a 2-story or 2.5-story, more colonial style house with a nice porch that kind of overlooks that front portion. The front porch on the Forest Ave side is 8 foot deep, and the front porch on the Hillside Ave is 6 foot, where the new front door would be. The garage goes over the existing footprint of the driveway, and just to kind of allow the cars to be parked inside. You can still fit a car or two outside that garage as it currently stands. It's a double wide driveway that could fit cars side by side and then front to back also. The existing houses around the neighborhood are also fairly close to the front. So really, we're looking to get the variance for the approval of that front porch. That would really change the character of the house and really make it more inviting and have a really nice curb appeal to the already nice Hillside and Forest Ave streets. The air conditioning units would be on the back, tucked in between the two houses. There's an existing fence that runs along, so that makes it obvious, just because the condensate lines needing to run, or the refrigerant lines up to the attic space for the unit. If we were to put them over in the side yard, over towards this area, we would be almost at too far of a length for mechanical code. One reason why we're adding them over there. There'll also be a patio, a small patio out the back, but again, that doesn't impact impervious coverage there. This is an existing shed on the property. So a lot of side yard next to the house, but the existing house is just pushed forward. We're trying to avoid as much as possible, but again, trying to add that porch in the front.
Mr. Scott, what kind of fence is that in the rear?
That rear yard fence is a picket fence. I'll bring up a photo of it. So the white PVC fence existing between the existing house and the neighbors.
And that fence is your fence?
Yeah.
Yes, and it was pre-existing when we bought the house. It's already there.
Yeah, there's one existing air conditioning unit in front of the chimney on the driveway on the hillside frontage, so we'd just be moving that. The existing front bump out is 14 feet off the property line. The main existing house is 18 feet. We're not changing the main front house line. We'd just be changing to 10 foot proposed, 10 foot 2 inches proposed.
So what was the thought process in with having a 8-foot porch going out? Because that does extend, I mean, Forest is a fairly, fairly busy, a lot of foot traffic, car traffic. I mean, that only leaves 10 feet to the property line. So that's pretty close. So did you consider having a little less of a shorter porch?
I'll speak to that. It was my request. It's my dream to have a porch, and I want one where I can sit and enjoy and be a part of the neighborhood. So it was my request. Don't kill my dream, please.
Just for, to have a table, a chair or something
Yeah,
to sit out there, not just, a small little bistro
Yeah,
thing.
I would like to have some furniture to lounge, read books, have my kids be able to play in like potentially screened in area that could be more functional. If it's smaller, it's not as functional for us as a family.
The existing driveway, are you expanding the asphalt in any way, shape, or form?
No, that would be the same coverage. Existing is 2 feet wide. We pretty much connect it to the house. That would be the only impact where there's a small gravel planter bed. We just kind of create that there.
Okay, but not going any wider?
Nope, it would be within that footprint.
And the AC units that are in the rear of the house, do you know what rooms are on your neighbor's house right behind it? Is it bedrooms, garage, kitchen?
So I know I've spoken to both people on either side. So the White House that's on Hillside, they, I think, are having plans to come here to put a garage right there. So, so that's their future plans. So it wouldn't, but then above that, the first floor is a stairwell right there. And then the kitchen, and then the top floor is the stairwell and a bathroom, and then the back of the house, which would be farther away from the air conditioning, is the master suite, is my understanding. Bathroom, the master suite bathroom.
I feel like we're the telly counter.
Got all the answers.
So with the air conditioning units, how are you planning to mask them? Because you are so close to the neighbor.
That fence is a 6-foot fence, so that takes up a lot of space. I mean, right now we have some bushes in front of them. If we need, we can do some decorative grasses as well. I mean, that's what's trying to hide them right now. I can't really see them, they haven't grown in yet in this photo, but yeah, I mean, there is enough space there to potentially plant something. I'm not really sure what else you could use as coverage. I have to look that one up. But the fence from the street view would block pretty much everything. And from their windows, those windows, because it's private space on the second floor, they're always, blinds are closed. So, and that front window, closer to the street, yeah, that one, that is the stairwell hallway. So, and even on the first floor farther back, it's a pantry and like a back hallway.
And the fence is staying through the construction, that will remain?
Yeah, and we like our fence, so if anything gets damaged, we would want to replace it or put up a new one that's within the codes.
So the foundation of the existing house is not really changing on getting closer to the street on Hillside. It's really just the garage and then, of course, the porch from a setback perspective.
Correct, yeah. The porch is going to be on pier foundations, which would just be within the setbacks under the garage. Everything else is the same. The addition that we're planning is for the side yard, on that kind of back of the house.
So then with the additional roof coverage, what is the intent on the leaders, et cetera? Are we doing a seepage pit or?
Yeah, the plan is to do a seepage pit or cistern underground with the new construction, just for mitigating any kind of new stuff. But it'll be all new gutters, all new roof drains throughout.
Mr. Scott, just from a legal standpoint, do you have justification, or what are the justifications for the variances?
The justifications we're proposing is the improving the visibility of the corner, everything on this block. It's a hot out traffic area for kids at the school, Halloween, everything. So I think this just will make it kind of clear. We're changing the front door to be its true address at Hillside, because as you noticed on the application, there's 2 addresses that are listed. So we're changing that to rectify it. And because the property line is set back off even the sidewalk, as you saw kind of the 3D, there's, you know, still room to the main curb, which we feel is with the setup of the property where the house lies and where that property line is drawn, that there is kind of additional space that is not counted for that.
Thank you.
So the current 10 feet or so, that's to the right of way, it's not to the sidewalk?
Correct, yeah, that's this dash line in here, not to the sidewalk.
And how far is it to the sidewalk?
Approximately to the curb, it's another 10 feet.
Thank you.
The house across the street on Forest has similar setbacks to the street. There's no sidewalk on that side, which probably makes it appear different, but they're fairly close to the property as well, their existing property lines.
Can you comment on how the proposal of this house compares to the other houses on the same block of Forest, same side of the street, in terms of how close to the sidewalk also?
Yeah, absolutely. Across the street, there's another Cape Cod style that's pushed up close. They do not have a front portico like we do, but still somewhat close to the street. The new White House behind there on Hillside has this front porch and also steps that is fairly close to where our new garage would be. So that I can't imagine meets the current code requirements either. House is next and running along down to Forest. Back house is over the encroachment of 30 feet. At the corner, they're even closer and probably in line with where our proposed porch would be. In their existing condition, they've got a front steps and a garage off of their existing house. That's a corner house as well.
Do you do this with drone or Google Maps?
So this is SketchUp, and SketchUp has a location tool where you kind of drops your aerial in, and then I'll pull the houses up from kind of just the siding, the shapes, and everything else. we do sun shading studies too, to make sure we're not impacting anything either. So I thought it was very imperative, just because this house is so unique with the setbacks, that this would be a really handy tool to visualize and see why and how impactful that would be.
You explored now our options for the porch in the front? What it would look like?
We did. Look-wise, it would be similar, but functionally, you could maybe get a rocking chair on it only. And that I would really push for if we didn't have a railing system. That way, we have that space if it was under 30 inches tall. But we're probably going to be above 30 inches, so we're going to have a railing, and just to move past that kind of furniture, at least, 6 feet would be comfortable. And so we're just going an additional 2 feet along this front side for that coverage.
I'll say it is getting close to the street, and 8 feet is a fairly large porch coming out. I would be more comfortable with something, I would say maximum 7 feet, but even at that, like, I'd probably suggest something a little closer. I don't know how the other board members feel.
I agree.
Yeah, I would agree with what you just said, Scott. I think you could still have a porch, but you would not have to have it as close to the street as it appears to be, in this rendering with 8 feet. If you knocked it back a foot, I don't think it would be a horrendous inconvenience to the, I think the porch would still be very usable if we allow, if we allow the porch.
Yeah, and I know our code allows 5 feet. I think that is way too small.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it really as functional, I know, but 8 feet is big, especially considering the setback. So would you consider modifying to 7 feet? That would make it 11 feet, 2.5 inches off the property line?
Yes, we're amenable to that.
And just so that I know we're looking at this and I'm looking at this. So the picture of the actual residence, the front step, where is that in relation to the 8 versus 7 versus 2 versus 4 that we're discussing right now?
That will be.
That would be what in the new scenario? That would be the what?
That would be the edge of the proposed porch.
For which measurement?
So
that would be the 8 foot or the 7 foot?
That would be the 8 foot.
Okay.
Maybe in a little fast, I'll check. Yeah, because our main house will be at this piece. We're removing this bump out structure. So at this exterior step, that's where we plan to put the porch. I will double check. Yes, that's at 10 foot 2 inches, almost existing.
Okay, I'm just trying to get for perspective, like, is there something already there at that distance?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, so that's where it would be.
Was I correct in hearing that you said there are not, on that row of houses, I guess that would be along Forest, there aren't other houses with porches there, or are there?
All porticos on this block specifically. Directly adjacent on Hillside, there is a porch on the White House there.
Going towards Bloomfield, 2 houses down across the street, there is a house with a porch, but their house, I think, is the pink house. I don't think you can see it from here. It's one past.
Yeah, past there.
Okay, any other questions from board members? Would you guys care to make any kind of closing statements before we deliberate?
We really love Verona, so we are happy to be here, and we're just excited for the next phase of our life, and hopefully it will be our forever home. So.
Yeah, and I'd just like to say that the porch is a nice to have, but in this condition, in this scenario, it really changes the look of the house and makes it more approachable and less massive. Because we're going longer along that side, we didn't want a big, flat, blank wall. So to add that porch just adds a little bit of scale to the house. That's all.
So I would ask if the public has any questions or statements, but I don't see any public, so I'll open it up to board deliberations.
Yeah, no, just on my end, I mean, look, I come from a Gilmore Girls household, so I have to kind of advocate for the porch. I mean, I was fine with the 8 foot. I mean, there's houses with, front fences. I mean, I understand kind of the traffic on Forest. That for me would kind of go for the front porch more than against it. So, I mean, and considering that that's where the step already is, if that's the case, I'm not necessarily opposed to it. If there's, some kind of drastic differential between the two, then I would understand it more. But if it looks, I don't know, that's just what I'm struggling with right now is the 1 foot difference. I understand we're talking about variance here, but at the same time, I mean, they did a remarkable job keeping the footprint to do all this. So to actually go within the footprint of the existing property is, I don't know. It looks like we're kind of glad handing here at this point. So that's just me.
Anybody else like to weigh in?
I was just saying the front porch could be narrow. I feel like it doesn't, lose the character. And if they're fine with 7 feet, I'm fine with that. And then the HVAC in the back, I don't know. Obviously, the thing they never sound right or bad. I don't know. Say that HVAC will require models on if there's anything
We can condition on plant them. I mean, that's typical, the screen planting. Planting screen.
So looking here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 actual variances here. And I'm doing a quick count. At least 2 of them relate to the porch, maybe 3. Am I accurate in that?
That's what I had counted earlier.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but is it based on it being a corner lot? We have to do everything twice.
Right, but what I'm saying, I'm just trying to narrow down the focus here a little bit. I mean, if we focus on if we approve the porch with the 7 foot, condition,
Both sides, right?
we have to do it on both sides, but that would eliminate at least 3 or satisfy at least 3 of the variances, correct? I just want to get a.
No, it was still
less than severity.
lesser variance.
Right, but I mean, if we approve if we approve the 7 foot porch, would that address?
Still the same number of variances.
Okay.
Because they're still within the
They're still within the
setback. But again, it
Okay.
it decreases the severity.
Right.
Brings it closer to compliance, square footage, et cetera.
Well, but if we took it back to even if we said 7 feet, if we approve a 7 foot porch, it would be a little bit disingenuous not to allow the other variances for the setback size. We still have to approve the variance because it's still within the setback area, correct? Okay. Okay.
So there'll actually be 8 variances because with the porches, to your point, you have to have variance for either side. And with the AC units, there's 2, so you have to have 1 for each, so the total is 8 variances.
I'm trying to simplify it for myself here,
Yeah.
because it's, there's a lot going on here, but it's essentially 2 issues. And maybe I'm oversimplifying. We haven't talked much about the garage yet either. I don't know whether we have to get into, that aspect of it. But personally, I have no trouble with the porch, with the 7-foot stipulation, allowing the variances that are related to both sides of the house. Okay, if that helps move the discussion along here.
It does. Do you have other concerns that you want to?
I'd like to hear a little bit more about the garage again. I don't know whether we got into that, that aspect of it. The AC units, I know in a prior application, which shall remain nameless, we did get into a very heated back and forth about noise levels and stuff like that. Now that, a little bit different than that. Other people actually showed up and complained about that. You have, how many do you have there now, the central air units?
There's one existing condensing unit on the front, in the front yard.
Okay, which front yard?
The hillside front yard.
I have a corner house, just for full disclosure, so I know all of the ins and outs of the disadvantages of having that, 2 front yards, this front yard. So I'm just trying to get it clear in my head. So you're moving the existing one and you're adding one, am I correct on that?
Correct.
Okay. And you've had the neighbors that immediately in this area, have you spoken to them about that?
Yes, so I've shown them the plan.
I mean, I know they're not here, but I still like to know if you've,
No, yeah, we've spoken in depth. We're very good friends, so they've seen the plans and everything. And like I mentioned prior, on that side of the house, there's not really living space in terms of like where they sleep. It's bathrooms and pantry and kitchen and stairwell.
And they're going to put a garage there as well.
And their plans are to put a garage right in that space, so.
And obviously, once again, Kathleen, we have construction code requirements for noise levels, and you still have...
Levels, different distance from the house. I
Okay.
just want to say in regards to when we discussed the variances for the AC units, they're technically in a side yard. So talking rear yard, but it's really, the more narrow of the lot is where your side will be, and
That's
then your
gonna be your
back.
side.
So that's technically the side yard when we're talking about it.
Okay.
2 fronts, 1 side, 1 rear on this one.
I mean, back in...
The more narrow, how you determine the front, the side, and the rear. You go from the more narrow.
Widest frontage is the front, is opposite the widest frontage is the rear.
Yes.
Right.
Opposite and now, no, right, opposite the widest is the,
Right. Opposite the widest frontage is the rear,
opposite the more narrow the frontage is the
at the
rear.
side.
I'm
No,
confused.
opposite. The more narrow,
Right.
the lot, the rear is there, the side is there. We just had that in the last one.
No, I'm well aware of the air conditioning, but back in, I guess, the early 1990s, I've been in my house since 1985, and I put central air in, and I had to go through the same procedure that these folks are going in, because we didn't have enough room to meet the setback requirements. But it is confusing with the 2 front yards and the 2 side yards. I still haven't gotten it, even after 35 years in the town, but that's okay.
Every town is different.
Yeah, okay.
I would like to though circle back to something that he did mention, only because it is something that we have talked about in the past. Going to the garage, and again, looking kind of at the floor plans and all the other jazz, the intent is to use it as a functioning garage, not an extension of storage, because what we don't want to do is extension of storage, and then now we're kind of pushing more vehicles onto the street and such.
We haven't had much snow lately, but ideally we would use it for our cars, at least one. I think it's a one
I mean, the kids'
One car
bicycles and stuff like that, we understand,
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're going to put
Yeah.
plumbing in there and a wet bar and, trying to,
I'm just saying like a 9-foot.
people do that, don't they? You say, no, no, no.
We
but
have
it's
the
been done.
shed on our property, which does fit some stuff now, but yeah, we would probably put a bicycle and a stroller because
Okay.
that's convenient to keep it. And now we have to bring it all the way into our house and I don't want these dirty wheels inside my house.
No, your snow blower, your
Yeah.
lawn mower, all that
Yeah.
traditional garage stuff as opposed to.
Yes, no, we have, if
I
we
even
need-
wouldn't mind if you put a refrigerator out there, as long as you don't have anybody living in it. But
No, we get all that, it's just that we're saying like a 9-foot door, and Verona is plagued with one-car garages with small doors, and then what we end up seeing is nobody using the garages.
we
And
will
then
use it.
cars stacked on each other, and then ultimately overnight parking, plaguing what we're trying to avoid here. So it's just assuring that we're going through all this trouble to actually put a garage that is going to be used as a garage.
And you could fit a minivan in the garage, so I'm guessing the engineer.
Yes.
Okay.
Because this is a point of a variance, is to actually put a garage in, and if that's going to be the case, that it is an actual garage.
Yes, because right now, I was out there,
Yes.
a couple years ago, pregnant with my daughter, shoveling 3 feet of snow. So ideally, we wouldn't have to do that again if I ended up, getting pregnant. So, yeah, and we would have, with the new plans, we don't need a space like that, like a party space. We'll have a bigger house. We have, a finished basement. We'll have an attic, which we could eventually do something with or use as storage. It's way more house and we need it now, but the garage would be for a car.
And since it's an attached garage, there would be a direct entry into the house, I take it, from the garage, or no? It stays separate?
We don't have one currently. We have it just because the front door is there to access around, and there's a living room on that side.
Okay.
So there's no access currently.
Okay, so you would have to come out of the garage and walk to the front or side of the house to get in? Okay.
And then the remaining space between the garage and the curb, a car will fit in there, not hanging over the curb, over the sidewalk, I mean?
Correct. So between the driveway and the garage, would you say you could get 3, if you had to use the garage, could you get 2 or 3 cars in there comfortably?
Yeah, you could have 1 car in the garage and 2 outside, side by side.
Okay. Thank you. No, you'd be surprised. They'll go up fast. I think they've basically, Mr. Chairman, answered all of my questions. If anybody else wants to chime in.
Paul, any thoughts you care to share?
No, actually, I'm okay with the plans, as they are, as long as we make sure that the driveway, we're not putting cars bumped over the sidewalk as we have throughout Verona. And I am okay with bringing in the porch that extra foot. I'm okay with it without the, I'm more of a fan of the bigger porch, but I understand the concept, so the 1 foot I'm okay with. And so, yeah, I'm okay with approving this plans moving forward.
Okay, so from what I hear is there'll be 2 conditions. One would be, from the original plan, one would be that we would narrow the porch by 1 foot, so the setback would be 11 feet, 2.5 inches. And the other one would be some shrubbery or vegetation around the AC units in the, I don't know if it's the rear or the side, but the east side of the house.
I do have a question clarifying. Is it 7 feet all around, or just 7 foot on the Forest Avenue side, since that's the one that's closer to?
I believe it's on the Forest Avenue side, because on the hillside.
I mean, and again, I don't
It's a little
know
less.
design-wise if they wanted to even all the way around, but I'm just curious. From my understanding, are we talking on both sides? Because again, there are 2 front sides.
So this would be specifically on the Forest Avenue side, so the setback would be 11 feet, 2.5 inches. That's what we would approve.
So that's the side that we are talking about specifically.
Exactly.
Okay.
If we go to back to 7 feet,
We go back to 7 feet. Originally, the hillside depth was 6 feet. I'd rather go 7 feet on that one, so it matches and the roof lines would be similar.
I'm also looking at the, Mr. Chairman, the environmental report, and although it's not a variance, I think the applicant's aware that they have stormwater management obligations,
Yes.
and you have no problem in
Yeah.
addressing them?
Yep, we'll plan to run, because there will be all new roof leaders around the entire house. We'll plan to run those to an underground cistern or retention basin.
Okay.
So just addressing the 7, so expanding the porch from 6 feet to 7 feet on the hillside avenue, we don't need any additional variances for that. And I don't know if that would change the board members' opinions on whether they would approve or not approve this application, but it would not, that would fit into the existing variances
Existing
that have been
footprint or
laid
whatever.
out.
Okay. That's on the one side, you said, though, right?
On the, yes, on the hillside side.
So it'll be 7 feet in all
Correct.
locations, right?
Yep.
Right. So it's aesthetically it'd be much more pleasing than trying to say, drop back 1 foot on the, to not need a variance. Is that what you're saying? If
Well, they
there's-
still need a variance.
For the front, yeah,
It's going to be consistent.
yeah, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, please speak up if you have any more thoughts, comments that you'd like the applicants or the board members to hear. If not, I will certainly entertain a motion.
Since you're going up to the you're putting another floor on top, you are going to be, I guess, reconfiguring the downspouts or things of that nature?
Yeah.
Have you read the environmental commission? I was a prior liaison to you, so the environmental thing is one of my things. So I read their reports very scrupulously.
Yes,
okay?
absolutely.
And if we recommend, since you, obviously, existing downspouts, we're not going to tell you to take them out and move them, but here, since you will be putting new ones in, if you look at their, I think, 5th and 6th recommendations regarding plants and putting the downspouts on the pervious surfaces, that would be
correct. Yep.
Very much appreciated and in line with current stormwater. Also ties into stormwater management.
I know, I just put up my lights, so 2 of our, that I can remember, already drain into our yard, right into the ground, and we don't have any issues in it. We actually prefer it because then it helps our grass grow.
Well, that's a good thing. That's great.
So, yeah.
Okay.
If I could just ask, just because I have to do the resolution, Mr. Scott, there'll be new downspouts or just replacement downspouts?
These will be all new gutters and downspouts.
But in new areas, or will they drain in the same areas, or will they be directed to different areas?
They'll drain in the same areas.
Okay, so I think, Mr. I just want to make it clear, there will be, the new plan will replicate what exists. We're not asking the applicant to do.
But they'll
anything
just be
different.
going higher
Right,
and they're just
but
going
we're not asking the applicant to do
to
anything
move them.
different.
Okay, gotcha.
Thank you.
So I will make the motion to approve case 2024-18, 63 Hillside Avenue, with the 2 stipulations for the deck, the front porch being 1 foot shorter, as well as the vegetation around the AC unit.
And so council, that would be 11 feet, 2.5 inch setback from the forest avenue.
That's what I get. I'll double check with Dr. Gonzalez.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
With a roll call vote?
Mr. Tully?
Approve.
Dr. Cortez?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Mathewson?
Yes.
Vice Chair Weston?
Yes. So,
Congratulations, your application has been approved.
thank you very much.
And it'll be memorialized, I guess, Mr. Chairman, at the next meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, just so.
And you'll be
Waiting for the
submitting new
next one.
plans? And then also the condition, they do have to have stormwater and engineering review?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that will be done in conformance with resolution?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay.
Do we need an executive session this evening?
Okay.
Perfect. And I would say I would entertain a motion to adjourn and have a wonderful holiday season.
So moved.
Second.
Where did that come from?
I didn't say a word.
Okay. Then we will see everybody on January 9th.
Happy New Year, everybody, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever floats your